They go on their bye. They come out. They beat a Vikings team in overtime by a field goal. The Vikings might actually be better than we have been talking about on this podcast. I tell people all the time. Good morning, everybody. It is Thanksgiving Eve, 2021. We're coming off of what will forever be known as the Tyler Huntley game. This was Tyler Huntley's game. And it ends up being a 16-13 victory for the Baltimore Ravens. Chad, we were off by 1 point in either direction for our picks. It went exactly how we thought it was going to go. What was our picks again? We were 17-14 and the final score ended up being 16-13. So, I mean, that's pretty darn close. Tyler Huntley started. Lamar Jackson has a mystery illness. We're going to talk about that later in the pod because I did some digging to try and get what the common man thinks about Lamar Jackson's illness. And if you really want to be in touch with the common man and you want to know what he's thinking, Reddit streams are always the best indicator of what people are thinking out there. So I perused through Reddit and I found some pretty interesting theories. We'll go over that. But let's get started with the game. So like Chad Cummings, Brad Cummings, good morning, boys. How are we doing? We're doing good. Doing good. Ready, excited for this Turkey Day feast tomorrow. Man, me too. Thanksgiving might be my favorite holiday. I think it's eclipsed Christmas at this point. Oh yeah, Thanksgiving has always been my favorite. Yeah, food, absolutely. Food, family, and football. Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right? So let's talk about the game that was on Sunday. Chad, we'll start with you. Just like general impressions of the game. I have a personal. This might have been like a pivot point in our season. I was talking about it to Brad before we came on. What did you think of the game? Did you like what you saw? Is it what you expected out of a backup quarterback? What were your thoughts? Yeah, all morning I was antsy about if Lamar was going to play or not. He came back to practice on Friday and during his presser, he seemed fine. He was ready to go, but I guess things turned south Saturday and they made him questionable and he wasn't. And then we got the information he wasn't going to go around like 11:30. 12:30. So I was like, dang, so Tyler Huntley time. But it didn't, our projections were pretty close. I was thinking, on Chicago's side, a good defense, a struggling offense. So on our side, a struggling offense. And our defense, in the Chicago, cold, windy, it seemed. I assumed it was going to be a low-scoring game, and it turned out to be that way. But first impressions with Huntley, I mean, they're being really conservative at first, running the ball, which was pretty effective for a little bit. And he was, targeting his security blanket, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews he killed it. He had like 8 catches on a bunch of targets for 70 yards in the game, and he was catching everything. That first catch he had, one-handed, diving over. Awesome. Yeah, it was a great catch. Nasty. So I was optimistic after that first drive, playing it conservative, got a couple like easy catches under his belt. Passes and catches. But our offensive line was rearing its ugly head like it has been all season. He was under duress just like Lamar has been all season. Being sacked. How many times did he get sacked this game? 6 sacks. Holy 6 sacks. Smokes. Thanks. Yeah, man. He was under duress, man. Guys, first time start under that kind of duress in an away game, and he got the win. So I was happy about that. But who was surprised? I wasn't surprised when Andy Dalton came in and he just started throwing dimes. Like, I was like, here we go again, the red white rifle. That's what I said. I said, the red rifle's back. Destroying Ravens defenses on these crazy ass plays. That first touchdown pass on the screen pass, 2 plays in, and then the
terrible. That was just terrible defense, though.
Yeah,
great play call. Bad tackling angles like always.
Yeah, right.
And then the freaking 4th and 11 at the end of the game for them to take the lead with a minute and a half left. Pressure was there, but I mean, Wesley just dropped the ball.
Yeah,
letting that guy go by. But my
he hit him with a double move. So
double move.
Yeah, he did.
With zero coverage. Full
out.
Yeah,
and something like that, you're not expecting him to go over the top. You're expecting him just to get the first down, which is probably what Wesley was thinking. So he jumped the under route, and he just got outplayed.
Yeah, and considering he was in for Anthony Averett too, because Anthony Averett didn't play in this game.
Yeah, he was starting for Anthony Averett. They were targeting him a lot. He had a couple catches on Wesley, but yeah, man. I say, I mean, it's one of those games where we got the win when we could have lost, and we got lucky, faith, or whatever you want to call it. We won the game, which is huge. That was a big win because now we're 7-3. Everybody else is a game and a half behind us, and it's setting up to be a tight AFC North race the rest of the way. But
yeah, it is.
Tyler Huntley did his job, and I'm happy about that. We got the win.
Oh yeah,
awesome. Yeah, solid performance. Brad, what do you think?
I think my prediction was a lot greater than what you guys thought. You guys thought it was gonna be a lot closer game. Mm-hmm. But obviously, like Chad said, none of us knew who was actually that Lamar wasn't even playing until really the last moments going into the game on Sunday. But yeah, man, Huntley came in, did his thing. He is he kind of makes me he looks just like, when he's on the field, he literally looks just like Lamar. It's pretty wild. He's like the perfect fit for a backup for Lamar Jackson. And when I'm sitting here, I'm actually watching the YouTube recap right now, and this man, he was balling out. He had nice shot, like Chad said. They started out with just doing the runs, and then they kind of just let him start slinging that thing. And he hits Mark Andrews with that one-handed catch. He was getting there. They're finally involving our running backs into the passing game. I think Freeman had like 6 catches on the night for like 40 yards or something like
that. 6 catches for 31 yards.
31 yards, yeah. But even like they allowed him to use his legs, kind of like Lamar Jackson. And there's this one play where he wheels out to the left side, and you think that he's about to pull that play that Lamar Jackson did against the Bengals. Obviously, only Lamar can hit that Houdini
spin move.
360 split 2 defenders. Yeah. But Huntley looked like that's something like that's something that he was possibly able to do. But like you said, that Watkins pass, man, that was a great pass, especially with them breathing down his neck, chasing him down that right-hand side. I don't know if it was just like a blown coverage or if like Watkins does an in and out, because you can't really see it from the view. You couldn't see it on TV, but he was just sitting there wide open at the 10-yard line. Yeah, and I don't know. All you see, the safety was over the top, but that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like you can't really see if he was just hitting a post and somebody just let him go on in a zone, or what really happened. But I was very happy it happened. So
yeah, I think we needed it. Especially with the way that our schedule is shaping up going down the stretch. I said in the previous pod, like, this is a must-win game for Baltimore. Because if you don't win this game, actually really, and this is, I think the Sammy Watkins catch and throw by Tyler Huntley is a great pass. It's 3rd and 12. Chicago, if you make the pass and you get down inside the 5, Chicago has no timeouts. They thought the game was wrapped up. And Tyler Huntley just runs to the right and throws. I mean, the ball couldn't have been placed any perfect. When he goes to put his feet in, he's way in. It had to have been blown coverage because, I mean, he's just wide open.
Yeah.
There is just no one within, it seems like 10 yards of the guy. He makes the catch and goes out of bounds, and you can feel the stadium like deflate. You know how there are some passes that, like, when the away team makes a play on you, you can feel the air in the arena deflate, like just go out. And when he made that catch and he goes out of bounds, I think that's what happened. And really, it may be a season-defining catch. If Sammy Watkins doesn't make this catch, I'm convinced Baltimore goes 6-4. They lose the AFC North because the Bengals won and they own the tiebreaker currently. And that catch is really the only thing. That's the one play that you can look at and you're just like, holy shit, was this like a turning point in the Ravens season in a positive direction? I thought that I would have a lot more to complain about from this game. And I know that the offense didn't look great at times. I know the defense gave up big plays, but like, as much as we complain about those units, they always seem to find, I mean, they held the Bears to 13 points with the red rifle. Right. Chad, I saw him come out and I was like, oh my gosh, not only is it the red rifle, but it's the red rifle with like a Santa Claus level beard.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, like there is no fucking way. I was like, this game has gone south to begin with.
Yeah.
Now the red rifle's coming out and he's bearded. I mean, we know how I feel about beards.
Yeah.
I was just like, damn. And it was flowing.
Yeah.
Beautiful flow on Andy Dalton's beard. I got to give him that. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. He knows how to mess with us, man.
I know. And I mean, of all the backup quarterbacks that you would want so your guy goes down, you think to yourself, if you're the Bears, all right, like Andy Dalton, he's played these guys a billion times over the course of his career. Like maybe he knows, and that throw, I mean, he had a touchdown pass within the first 2 plays that he was out there. And it was a Chuck Clark again, took a bad angle, I think.
Yep.
Stevenson definitely took a bad angle.
Stevenson
he
too.
ran it.
Yeah.
It was like he was running out of, it was like he was running out of bounds. I don't understand how that happened. They both took bad angles on it. I honestly don't think Dalton actually played that well. Like besides that pass and the pass that he threw a touchdown on, he completed less than 50% of his passes, and he was throwing like a lot of balls into. It was just miscommunication sometimes, but he's throwing a lot of them like into the dirt, overthrowing them. I didn't think he looked that good, honestly.
How about the Hail Mary where he gets sacked? You know what I mean? It's like it's his only sack, and Tyus Bowser gets him. They lose 18 yards and end up losing the game, and you're just like, Andy Dalton, you cannot take a sack there. But,
yeah.
Like, huck it up there.
You see Bowser like held him up so he couldn't get like a 15-yard penalty. He's
Smart.
like, nope. You only doing this shit to me like you guys did against Pittsburgh and Chicago.
Yeah. No, very smart. It was very intelligent. But if we talked about Tyler Huntley, I thought he played pretty great for a first NFL start.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But now let's shift to Lamar Jackson. So I did something, the things that I do for this podcast, dude. The things that I do for this podcast. I was trying to find more information because they've been real cagey about what this mystery illness is, right?
Yeah, I couldn't find nothing.
Couldn't find anything on this, nothing. And I don't know whether that's because it like when we say that things are coming out of Lamar's camp, what we mean is it's coming from his mother, right? Like his mother is his agent. His mother has been the one that's been pretty much the driving force of his career for him to play quarterback. So when we don't hear anything, it's kind of not a surprise because his agent is his mom. And I'm sure his mom doesn't want his son's name dragged through the media headlines over why he's sick all the time or whatever. But that's just me spitballing, but it is very interesting. I had to go to Reddit to find what people think about what this thing is. It's not COVID and it's not the flu. So here are some of the potential things that were said on this Reddit stream. Hemorrhoids, a lot of poop jokes, like, oh man, he's got the runs, or, oh, he probably had to take a poop again. He looked like that poop game against Cleveland has really it's kind of a knock on Lamar. I'm not happy about Mr. Bowel Cramps, Mr. Bloated Constipation, Mr. Bruise. I mean, Reddit is it's wonderful. That's if you hilarious. Ever come down here. What else? Reddit there were other things too. Mono was thrown out there. So sort of like a Sam Darnold situation last year. But I was like, why wouldn't they report that?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
They would report that.
Right. I feel like that's something. I mean, Sam Darnold, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think Sam Darnold got that much shit for having mono, did he? It's not a situation where he was really.
I remember seeing people making fun of him and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, he
really?
also said that he was seeing ghosts on the field, so I think that kind of overshadowed his
Played a role.
whole
Yeah, I
mono
think that
statement.
played a role. Yeah, for sure. So mono was thrown out. There was also long-term COVID effects. That was thrown out there. And those are really like the three. One isn't very serious, but the other
Right.
two, I mean, maybe you never know. What do you guys think this is? Like, I have no idea. And I just don't know what qualifies as an illness that the NFL couldn't. I think it's just a breakdown of information. I think it's just they don't want people to know what he has. But what do you guys think this is? I have no idea. It's just strange that that's the game day call.
I saw a tweet, or I don't know if it was an article or a tweet, but someone referenced a gastrointestinal issue, so like a stomach bug type thing, and he wasn't the only one that missed practice for an illness this week, because they were just fine. They just didn't have it as bad. Yeah. So I mean, why is he always sick? I don't know why, but some people were saying that it was like a stomach bug type thing. Other players had it. Obviously, if it's not in this day and age, if it's not COVID related, it's not going to get that much news. But from what I was reading on Twitter, it's something that's way more contagious than COVID is. Other people were dealing with it, but it's not. We're not in a gastrointestinal pandemic, so it's not that big a deal.
Right.
But he obviously he got hit the hardest. Obviously, I forget the other two players that were
Bateman
missing
was sick this week. I know that much.
Who?
Bateman? He missed practice one night.
Yeah, it was a couple people that missed practice for this. Similar people are saying attributing it to the same illness, just close contact and stuff.
And it's not food poisoning. They didn't go somewhere and eat something as a team, and then
maybe who knows? Maybe that would. Let me see if I can figure out.
Because I ruled that out, and the reason I ruled that out was because he was out all week, right? If it were food poisoning,
he missed Wednesday, Thursday, and then practice Friday.
Okay, so he did practice Friday.
Better, yeah, they thought it was better Friday, and then they actually even traveled with them, and they didn't find out until like the day that he wasn't going to play.
Man, what the fuck is it?
Bozeman was the other person that was sick.
Okay,
but he ended up playing.
Right. Huh.
My theory is it's probably food poisoning, and his mom is his agent, and his mom cooked the food and doesn't want everybody knowing that it was actually her fault, so she's covering it up with something else.
You think it's a family conspiracy?
It could be.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll keep that. That's a developing story. We're gonna keep our eye on that. I
mean, it's flu season, guys. I mean,
right.
There's more than one sickness. I know it's hard to imagine, but before COVID, there was tons of reason why people got sick, and this is the time of year when it happens.
For sure.
So
yeah, it's just interesting.
Flu, cold, who the hell knows? Bozeman was sick.
Why not mention it? They just say an illness.
I mean, did they mention it?
We have no idea.
Did they mention it before? Did they mention it before? I don't remember.
I don't think. No, I mean it's been a mystery pretty much the entire time, right?
I mean, before the pandemic, when someone was sick, would they say illness?
Yeah, they would say flu-like symptoms and shit like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Obviously, we knew what's his name had mono.
Right. Yep. Yeah, right. That's kind of where I was going with it. I was like, man, Sam Darnold. I mean, we all knew that this dude had mononucleosis, and it was reported like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And people
he missed 3 or 4 weeks, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah, he missed a lot.
And it doesn't seem like that's the case here because they say that Lamar is going to be good to go for Sunday. So I don't know. I just think it's interesting how the information was controlled.
Sure.
And I think it has to do with his mom being his agent. I think his mom just does not want people up in her son's shit. And I respect that. I do. Yeah. And if something comes out different, we'll address it later on in the pod. But let's switch topics real quick. Brad, we'll start with you. I want to talk about the defense again. because they did some things that I really liked in this game. There was a forced fumble. Justin Fields is trying to roll out. He's trying to step up in the pocket. It looks like he might go for a run. And somebody,
I think it's Bowser.
who, by the way, had a phenomenal game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he balled out.
He strips the ball. It comes out. Calais Campbell's right there, and they recover it. And I'm just like, holy shit! Did we just put the ball on the ground and recover a fumble? I haven't seen that in forever.
Since Chicago, since the Chiefs game when.
I'm happy we didn't try the scoop and score because it doesn't work for us.
No, and it was just such a perfect. I mean, Calais Campbell with these big ass bear paws that he has, just fucking rake that shit in. It was like, yep, mine now.
Man's laying on the ground and literally covered like 10 yards of ground, crawling, grabbing this ball.
Right.
Like, anybody else, we wouldn't have gotten it, but as big as that dude was, it's crazy.
Right. Perfect person to recover it. The defense only gave up 13 points. They gave up huge plays again. I'm going to go through the list. Darnell Mooney had a 60-yard reception, which I think was a touchdown. Marquise Goodwin had the 49-yard reception, touchdown. Jimmy Graham at one point had a 23-yard catch and run.
Jimmy Graham? No, I was just laughing because it's like the oldest man in the books had a big play against our defense. Is all.
I know.
I'm just laughing at it.
It really is.
Hold up.
Like,
there's a cat. I got a cat infestation in my room.
Oh, well, that's okay. My dog's hanging out on the futon right now. She's just chilling.
Keep your cats out of the podcast, boy.
Chad, you were going to say something else. I heard you.
I was. This is a child program.
I like that we have a cat sighting. It's good. We have pets, people. The people who follow Fox Squawk, big pet show.
Big pet
show right here. We love pets.
That was Atlas.
So 13 points for the defense. Do the Bears just stink, man? Like, is that really what this boils down to? Or are there reasons? There are a lot of things that I really like about our defense. And then the big plays really drive me crazy. Like, what do you think? Is it just that the Bears can't move the ball, or did we actually put up a decent stand in this game?
It was, I mean, they're a bad offensive team. I mean, besides their rushing game, which isn't even really that good, I think it's more just, it's kind of like how our rushing, I mean, nothing against our rushing, because I think we're like third in the league right now.
Right.
But I think without Fields and the way that he scrambles, their team is just, their offense is just completely trash. Their passing game, I think, is like second to last in the league.
Yeah.
So it was just, we were just playing a bad team because our defense has, I mean, there's times where we do step up, but like you said, the big plays, I was going over the list yesterday, not to really get off topic, but I'm going to do it all the time anyways. But when you say big plays, it's been hurting us all year. And I made a list of like all the different plays that have kind of just like killed us over the times. Like I'm talking like 30 plus, 40 plus yard plays. We had when we played the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce and Pringle had a 45-yard touchdown and a 43-yard touchdown on us. Jamal Williams, when we played Denver, he had that 31-yard run, bad tackling, which is another thing that we were just, it hurt us again this game. That first touchdown that he passed on that screen pass to Mooney was just bad angle, bad tackling. Clark got his hands on him and couldn't bring him down. And he just made us look like goofballs. When we played the Colts, the first drive, they had a 76-yard touchdown pass to Jonathan Taylor. Pittman had that huge ass 42-yard catch on us, which was on, I believe, Humphreys, who was all over him, pass interference, playing terrible defense, and they just beat us on that. Bengals, we had 82-yard touchdown to Chase, 55 to Usma.
Yep.
Like these, it goes on. We just, the big plays is what kills us every single week. Where it looks like, hey, we're in this game, and then we make a awesome play on offense, go down there and score it. They get on the field, and two plays into their drive, they drop a 50-plus yard play on us and totally just take the air out of the room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
It's just, yeah, I honestly think it's just our defense, big plays, not making the tackles, taking the bad angles. It's just Westry getting beat. I mean, that's tough. I can't really blame Westry on when that double move, I mean, like I said, anybody is going to think, hey, they're trying to get the first down. Let me hit this. Let me jump this route and try and stop this. And they outplayed us on that route and got the touchdown. But
Right.
I just think, yeah, like I said, I think it's just we're playing a horrible offense, so they kind of made our defense look better. Not saying we do play good at times, but we just were playing a bad offense.
Yeah, it's so weird because like there are so many sightings in this game. There's a Patrick Queen sighting. He had 4 solo tackles. He had a tackle for loss on a running back. Tyus Bowser was all over the place. Justin Madubuike is playing pretty well in his second season. Odafe Owe, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year or Defensive Rookie of the Year, excuse me, but he's definitely played well. It's not like he's played poorly at all.
He's going to be amazing for us.
Yeah, I really like him.
Oh yeah, he's an awesome pickup. It was that guy's name over there in Dallas. Off the edge.
Michael Parsons.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
he's a rookie of the year defensively. He's
for sure.
Freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. Let's switch over. Chad, what do you think as far as the defense? Is it more on the Bears or is it more on our defense that we held them to 13 points?
I think it's more on the Bears. I mean, I'm looking at team overall stats. They have the least amount of passing yards for any team in the NFL. They have 1,800 passing yards in 10 games. But yeah, they're not. They've been in flux all year. Starting with Andy Dalton, going to Justin Fields. Now Justin Fields hurt. Back to Andy Dalton. There's talks about Matt Nagy already getting axed after Thanksgiving, depending on how they win or lose this week. So they're going to have a new coach next year. Their defense is good. That's why I like I said earlier, I thought it was going to be a low scoring game.
Yeah.
But yeah, our defense, I mean, yeah, I go with both of you guys talk about these big plays. Without those 2 big plays, Chicago has 3 points.
Right.
Maybe, and they could have had 6 with the 1 missed field goal. So, yeah, I mean, and our defense, yeah, and the inconsistencies of our like we're playing so well, like corralling, keeping limited yards, and then just out of the blue, there's a big old play, and I think it attributes to the bad angles and bad tackling, which has been big plaguing us, like you guys said, all year. And I was looking at the defensive snaps. Brandon Williams is still out, who has always historically been our best run stuffer. And I remember years previous, whenever Brandon Williams was out, like our defense was trash.
Right.
He's been out, seems like 3 or 4 games in a row now. It's his shoulder. He didn't play this week. I don't know how long they're planning on, how long they're expecting him to be out. Jimmy Smith, Jimmy Smith didn't play a snap this game.
He didn't play last week either.
Is he I don't know what's
they
up
have
with him.
him on the injury list as questionable. Same with Brandon Williams, same with Anthony Averett.
Yeah, Anthony Averett missed this game. So here's our starting safeties. I think I'm gonna attributing our bad tackling. You got Brandon Stevens as our starting free safety, a rookie,
right?
Who used to be a running back. He played 1 year as a cornerback in college, 1 or 2 years. He started his college career playing running back. So, I mean, he's a work in progress, but he's forced to be, I mean, he's playing a full game at free safety. Chuck Clark has been suspect, his angles and tackling, and he's our best safety right now with the injuries.
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith isn't playing at all. I don't know. Was he healthy? Was he playing this? Did he suit up this game?
There were so many people on the injury list. Like my eyes kept getting drawn to Marquise Brown being out and Anthony Averett being out. I didn't even get a chance to go through everybody. I
forget. Yeah, I'm not sure about Jim because Geno Stone got 16 snaps at safety.
Yeah. And
then Darius Washington got 5 snaps. So yeah, Jimmy Smith, no snaps at all. So he must, I can't remember if he was out or not. But you got these young, inexperienced players at some of your most important spots. The guy that's been pretty consistent is Josh Bynes, the old man.
Right. Yeah.
And his snaps, him and Queen finally, after that game against, was it Chargers when Queen left and Josh Bynes came in, Queen finally jumped back up into leading the team in inside linebacker snaps. So I don't know if they're feeling like he's getting back to his rookie year self on a little sophomore slump, but we'll see how that pans out. But
too many question marks on a team that has a record that would indicate that they're going to the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
there's a lot of question marks on defense. I'm going to make an argument for John Harbaugh for Coach of the Year. There's been a lot of names that have been thrown out. The name that I hear the most is Cliff Kingsbury. And then Bill Belichick deserves to be in that conversation. And Brad, before we went to break, you said Mike Vrabel. I agree with that as well. But let me make a case for John Harbaugh. So going back to week 1. So week 1, they lose to the Raiders in overtime. I'm throwing the game out. I throw it out because the Raiders had 2 months to prepare for their opening debut of their brand new stadium in the desert. They were going to win that game, I think. They had motivation to win it. What are you going to do, right? They then go on a 5-game win streak to include beating the Chiefs at home with the Odafe Owe strip. They go on the road to Detroit. They play Detroit, and John Harbaugh trusts the $20 million man to kick a record-breaking 66-yard field goal to win that particular game. They go and they play the Broncos, beat the dog shit out of them, and then proceed to go and break a rushing record or tie a rushing record with the 1974-77 Steelers. And everybody talks about, oh, John Harbaugh is in the right with that. You know, he's trying to get his players motivated for the season. That's that game. They play the Colts at home where they come back from a deficit, win 31-25. The following week, they dog walk the Chargers. The next week, they lose to a good Bengals team. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to keep banging that drum. They go on their bye. They come out. They beat a Vikings team in overtime by a field goal. The Vikings might actually be better than we have been talking about on this podcast. I tell people all the time.
You had talked about. You had no faith in them. They have great receiving core, great running back, and a facility. What's his name? Kirk Cousins.
Anyway. So we're looking at that. They win in overtime. It's true. It is just me. It's just me. I take onus on that. They lose a game to the Dolphins, a short week. You know, like the Dolphins seem to be on a heater right now. And then they win in the end of November in Chicago in a must-win game to be 7-3. John Harbaugh plays what percentage of all of these victories? What role? Like, if you could give him a percentage on how much his impact played in like had influence on these games, Chad, what would you give it? Like a percentage?
Percentage?
Yeah. So like out of 100%, how much is he responsible for these wins?
Well, let's say in any circumstance, the coach's stats is wins, losses.
Right.
And then you got the quarterback who also wins, losses. Those are the two main people. So I'm going to say 60 to the coach, 30 to the QB, 10 to the rest of the team. And in reality, it takes the whole thing, obviously. But I'm saying in public eyes, if you lose, it's because your quarterback or your coach. If you win, it's because your quarterback or coach. I'd say 60%. I don't know. It's for me. I don't like. I know for the sake of argument, you're doing that, but I'm just saying personally, it's right on the coach no matter what, in my eyes.
Right. And the reason
unless you have unless you have, you know, the Tom Brady's, the Peyton Mannings, you know, because then you can be like, yeah, they won because of Peyton Manning, or they won because of Lamar is close to that, but he's still way too young to say, hey, we are only winning because of Lamar in some situations for sure.
Right.
Anyway.
And I agree with I'm just trying to figure out, like, because we don't really talk about John Harbaugh on this podcast too much, but what he's done this year, this may be like a top 5 coaching job for him. in terms of because I think you could even give him a little more credit because of all the injuries that have ravaged this roster. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't, I think with a different coach, like if Zach Taylor is your coach, do you think that this Baltimore Ravens team is 7-3? I don't.
Chad answered that way better than I would have answered it. Like I agree with him when it comes down to wins, losses. It's definitely put on more than the coach and the quarterback than anybody else. But I honestly, when it comes down to it, you say that I don't think it's like coaching so much. I honestly just think that Lamar's just balling out and he's saving everybody's asses when it comes down to the fact that we're 7-3. I mean, if he's coaching, he's picking up a lot of good people off of waivers and this, that, or the other to fix our injuries and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, our offensive line is still kind of trash. Our defense is still miffing up. And when Lamar's out there, he just makes things happen. So I don't really think the coaching doesn't really seem to be as good as what you're saying it is to me.
The Chicago game just really impressed me, right? Because you have a quarterback who didn't even know that he was going to start until the starting quarterback basically texted him before he gets on the bus and says, "Hey man, I'll be watching you. Like, good luck." I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But they still win the game. I know it comes down to a single play or a single, in this case, the Sammy Watkins catch. I waxed poetic about how awesome I thought it was, but like to even have Tyler Huntley ready for that game, the fact that he went out and played as well as he did, he's not Mike White with the Jets playing the Bengals, right? But he did everything that he was supposed to do. And there are a lot of backup quarterbacks for some of these teams. Like Cliff Kingsbury is being widely considered for coach of the year, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cliff Kingsbury's backup quarterback is Colt McCoy, a seasoned veteran, once starter. Like Justin Fields' backup is Andy Dalton, seasoned veteran, right? Like I look at Colt McCoy and I'm like, yeah, I think Colt McCoy, with all the talent that's on this Cardinals team, yeah, I think Colt McCoy, if you put him in a starting role, I would expect him to make plays happen. Tyler Huntley, undrafted out of Utah. The connection is he played with Lamar in high school. That's the connection. They run a similar type of offense. Like I knew immediately that Tyler Huntley was going to fill in if Lamar's sitting out, right? He's the obvious candidate, but nobody had heard of this guy before. And he walks out, he leads a game-winning drive. They walk out and get a win. In Chicago, late. I know Chicago they've got issues, but it's still a tough place to play at the end of November with the injuries that you have on both sides of the ball. I think coaching plays a role in that. Like,
Oh,
I think
100%.
But
John Harbaugh gets them ready to play.
Yeah. But still, Huntley came out and balled out too. Like, I mean, he didn't have crazy. He didn't have a touchdown pass. He didn't do any of that. But when it comes down to it, our offensive line still shit the bed on him, and that's not the coaching necessarily. He is out there scrambling for 30+ yards to get a 3rd and 10. He's scrambling out to his right to make that pass. If he's not making the moves that he's making and using his athleticism to get away from these people, that last play was not going to happen to Watkins. You know what I'm saying? That's not the coach's decision. That's just Huntley.
Right.
That's Huntley being him, just playing his game. So, I mean, yeah, obviously coaching goes into it, but I feel like when it comes down to it, we're not 7-3 strictly because Lamar Jackson is making everybody in Baltimore look good, from his own receivers all the way down to the coaching.
Right.
And that's what it is. And Huntley did the same thing this past week.
Okay, so then let me rephrase the question. Let me rephrase it. Where out of the coaches that you see in the NFL, if you had to vote for coach of the year, where would you put him on your list?
Because
I agree with you guys, by the way.
They always go off of records and shit. So he's gonna be definitely in the top 10. But my top 3 are definitely it's gonna be the Cardinals coach, then it's gonna be, to me, the Titans coach, and then it's gonna be New England's coach. To me personally. So with Belichick, you started out 2-4, and now you won 6 straight and are the only people at what are they were the Titans? The Titans are what 8-3 now?
The Titans are the
And
top seed. Yeah.
yeah, and everybody's saying that the Titans are nothing without Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry goes down and they're still winning. I mean, they just lost this past week to Houston, but if you look at all the games that they played, the only two
Yeah,
of the
they're-
games they played, they lost to just like bullshit teams. They just played down to their to the team that they were playing, which was Houston and the Jets. Everybody else, they did their thing.
Is that a reflection of coaching though? To not have your
Right.
guys ready for games that you should definitely win. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, Chad, real quick, what's your list? Like, if you had to rank them, like, where would you put? Because I like the Mike Vrabel pick, by the way. I just think there are moments where, like, they should have beat some of the teams that they lost to. You know,
Yeah,
our
just-
losses aren't like totally ridiculous. But go ahead, Chad, real quick. Give me your list real fast.
Yeah, I'd say Cliff Kingsbury, Bill Belichick. Yeah, I mean, I'd say where we're on right now, Mike. Yeah, they've won two. They went 2-1 since Derrick Henry, and I didn't expect them to win those 2 games. So I have to give him some props. John Harbaugh has to be up there. I mean, what almost 20 people in IR, and his team is 7-3. That's, I mean, no matter what we're saying, I mean, coaching matters. The coach and the coaching staff plays a
Yeah,
big
of
role
course.
on the in the organization and the winnings. I mean, like the winning mantra that Coach Harbaugh has set the tone for in our locker room. Like he wants to win, play preseason games. Like he wants to, because winning, like I'm totally for with like that whole mindset of like actually trying to win games in the preseason and stuff. Like it trickles on into the regular season, I believe. But I mean, I'm looking at the Vegas odds right now. John Harbaugh isn't even in the top 10.
Man,
You
that
got-
is wild.
You got Brandon Stanley above him, Mike McCarthy, Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, Indianapolis's coach. You got Sean McDermott, and you got Kyle Shanahan, and you got Ron Rivera ahead of him in the odds and for Vegas.
Kyle Shanahan is ahead of
Yeah, I
John
don't get that.
Harbaugh.
I definitely see Kingsbury, Belichick, Vrabel. I can see Mike McCarthy because, you know, Dallas is playing pretty good after playing pretty bad last year, but they had a lot of injuries. Stanley, I don't know. I mean, Chargers have been too hot and cold for me for them to be on the list. Zach Taylor, I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, Cincinnati has been a big surprise for me this year, so I can see Zach Taylor being up there. But I mean, we're early. We're not even. Wait, I guess we're a little bit past the halfway point of the season. There's a lot to be said, and the fact that John Harbaugh has a 7-3 team with all these injuries is a big deal.
Yeah, I think, and if whatever the odds are, if you were to like go to Vegas and make like a really wild prop bet, I don't know, depending on what the odds are, you could certainly make an argument. I think maybe Bill Belichick has a better argument because of how he went about the offseason.
Yeah.
He was just like, fuck it. We're like, whatever you're going to give me, I'm going to spend it to get guys, free agents. And we're just going to come in here and we're going to win now.
Yep.
And
they chose a rookie over Cam Newton. A lot of people were like, but it's turned out pretty well.
Yeah, Mac Jones looks pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, enough talk about other teams. Let's get back to the Ravens pod at hand. We've got a game with the Browns coming up on November 28th.
Big game. This is a big game, boys.
Here's the matchup predictor. The matchup predictor says 61.3% in favor of Baltimore at home. The spread is -3.5 in favor of Baltimore. And the over-under is set at 45.5. It's in the bank. Man, this is a huge game, dude. This is one of the biggest games. This is the beginning of the home stretch for us. As a team, we are 7-3. We're in much better position than the Browns are. Let's go through picks real fast. Brad, we will start with you.
Score, I think it's going to be 24-20 Ravens. 24-20. It's gonna be a good, I mean, it's a must-win game. We're 0-1 already in the divisional record. We're only one game ahead of all of these teams right now, so we have to take this. We lose this. I think if we need to win this, and we need the Bengals to lose this week. Because if we lose and the Bengals win, then obviously we lose our position in the division. Looked it up. We are going against one that we are obviously is the best Russian team in the league, and we are number 3. So it's going to be a big rushing game. They're 7th defensively. We are 2nd defensively with letting 88 yards a game. They're letting about 100 a game. And they're getting 156. We're getting 151. So that's going to be a big mark in the game. And as well as third down, we are the best on third down defensively, which I did not know. And they are 24th on third down, where our third down is absolutely trash in offense. We're 26th, but so is our defense. So that hopefully that plays a big part in this next game. This past game, we obviously different quarterback, but on third and fourth down, I think we were 8 for 17, which is a lot better than we had done all season. So hopefully we can take that into the next game and keep the ball rolling. But this is a must-win game for us. Also, yeah, I would like the Steelers to beat the Bengals. That'd be great.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in the next segment, because I want to just do like an entire thing about playoff stuff, because now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of it. And this is the time of year that gets really exciting. Chad, what do you got?
I got, this is a tough one because last year it was a high scoring game, the poop game. That was a high scoring game. I don't know. Baker's still kind of injured. Lamar's coming off a sickness. We're going to be playing.
Chubbs is back.
Chubb played last week. Hunt might be playing, and so might their offensive tackle, who they've been missing.
Oh, also, I should mention this is a Sunday night football game,
Yeah,
so prime time, 6:20 in the bank.
I'm gonna say 27-22 Ravens.
27-22.
I think so. After the Odell stuff, I personally thought that was a good thing for them to get rid of Odell, which turned out to be true in the short term because they whooped Cincinnati that first week when we played Minnesota. I think they beat them 40-something to 16 or something like that. But then they shit the bed against New England the next week. They gave up a whole bunch of rushing yards. And their defense didn't do crap against New England, Mac Jones and them. And their offense was
6 points.
And their offense was pretty stagnant. And then, Baker only played like 2 or 3 quarters, and then Case Keenum came in, which I think, so Baker's been playing injured for a while. It didn't hinder him against Cincinnati, but it hindered him against New England. And then they played last week against Detroit, only winning by 3 points or something like that. Baker had another bad game. He's playing through an injury. And they gave up a lot of rushing yards again to Swift. So I see this as a potential, get right game for our rush offense. We got Latavius Murray back for his second game straight. Devontae Freeman's been playing well. He's been leading the team in snaps. So with Devontae Freeman and Murray, I think I hope we can continue that trend of Cleveland's defense shitting the bed against the run again. And we didn't have another Williams sighting last week. Williams didn't play one snap.
Nope.
I think that could and I think we said, I think I projected that last time, with Le'Veon Bell being cut. I think they're just gonna ride this Freeman Murray train. I don't think Williams is, for whatever reason, they don't want him. Our defense, they're going to give up big plays, man. There's going to be one or two big plays. I think it's to Chubb or Hunt if he plays. Austin Hooper has been a security blanket for Keenum and Baker, depending on who plays. There's a whole lot of mess going on in Cleveland right now with Baker being booed by the fans and him, having a shitty attitude about that. And something about his wife attacked the fans on Twitter or something.
I thought you were going to say she attacked them in person. I was supposed to be like, what? I got to check ESPN right now.
On a social media thing.
Gotcha.
But that's irrelevant. But
it's kind of irrelevant. I mean,
there's a lot going on in there, drama wise. It's gonna be. I've had this game circled since the beginning of the season. Like I thought this is the division fight. Cincinnati, I overlooked Cincinnati, and they came out of nowhere. So where we're looking at now, I mean, I think every division game is going to be huge, and I'm really excited for this game. And I think the Ravens get the win at home against a struggling and hurt Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's funny. So last week I went with one brother, and now I'm going with the other one. I had 24-20 Ravens as well. Yeah. I write these down before the segment, so it's hilarious that 2 weeks in a row I've been jiving with somebody, which is nice. So here's the Browns' last 5 and the Ravens' last 5. I don't know if you've looked at this. They're identical. So the week that we beat the dog shit out of the Chargers, they beat Denver by 3. We get dog walked by Cincinnati. They get beat by Pittsburgh. We beat Minnesota in overtime. They dog walk Cincinnati. Then we lose to Miami. They lose to New England. We just beat Chicago. They beat Detroit. There's 3 wins in the past 5 games for both teams. I think the Browns are a mess right now. I think that story about Baker and the fans being contentious with one another. First off, I don't think Baker Mayfield deserves this. Mm-hmm. The Browns, before Baker Mayfield stepped into that arena and played for them, were, just the laughing stock of the NFL. There's no other way to say it. Between them and the Lions, it was kind of a tie on who the laughing stock of the NFL was. The Browns are 6-5. They're not out of the playoff hunt yet. And the fans are turning on him already. And I don't know whether it's because they were Odell fans or what. I think that's a bad sign. They're on the road, so they're going to be playing in Baltimore. And if we're going to beat this team, the second time we play Cleveland's going to be coming off of a bye week. So maybe some of those things that they have with their team, whether it's injuries, whether it's reorganizing the offense, the defense, or whatever, they're going to have a week to do that. And then they're going to play us at their home stadium. We'll be on the road. If you're going to beat the Browns this year, it's got to be here. Sure. It's got to be here, and it's got to be at this moment. If you lose, you drop to 7-4. I think that the Bengals are going to beat the Steelers because the Steelers, I just think that their defense right now, like the Steelers they have a specific formula to win. And if they don't meet that formula, they are not going to win ball games. And we saw it with the Chargers last night when TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick was out. I think the Bengals win that game. If the Bengals win, they're 7-4, and they would take over the AFC North because they own the tiebreaker, right? It's a game you have to win. It's going to be home. It's going to be Sunday Night Football. Yep. Primetime game. Ravens-Browns, which in recent years has become a primetime game. People want to see that game. I got the Ravens 24-20. I think it pretty much jives with the point totals too, just how these teams have been basically just slogging it through the season, both of them. One has been a lot more successful than the other. So that's what I have for that. Let's talk about the playoffs in general. I think that the Chiefs are back. They've won 4 straight, and there's overwhelming evidence to suggest that their defense is better. Yep. The New England Patriots are out of this world. They have a plus 123 point differential, and they are one of 3 offenses that have scored at least 300 points. It's them, the Arizona Cardinals, who are 9-2 and are in first place overall in the league, and then the Indianapolis Colts, who are resurging. Like I kind of predicted that they would have a stretch here where they would go. Those are the only 3 teams. Then you have the Bengals, who I think are really good and are not injured. The Chargers look like they're back. They put up a lot of points. Buffalo's sliding. Chad, we'll start with you. Like, how do you see this AFC playoff race shaking out? Is it too early to tell? There are a lot of teams that are either 5-5 or 6-4. What do you think?
It's obviously it's way too early to tell with 7 weeks left.
Yeah.
And with us specifically, we've only played 1 division game. We have 5 more division games, and it's starting this week to kind of like shake out the whole NFC, AFC North, because I mean, we're 1 game ahead of, we're basically between 1 game and a half lead over the league, which is very close with 7 games left. And Cincinnati, Steelers, and Browns are like basically tied at that in those second place areas. When it comes to our division, I'd have to say that I'm more concerned about Cincinnati at the moment. Especially with that tiebreaker against us currently, for them to potentially take the lead from us down the road. But overall, the division, I see. So let's look at the AFC South. You got the Titans in the lead, 8-3, and then you got Indy, kind of like with a little resurgence right now. They're 2 games behind. I mean, 7 games left to play. I feel like the Titans could be in trouble in losing the division lead against Indy if they keep on playing this well. And Titans, I mean, I know they've won 2-1 without Derrick Henry, but I just can't believe that they're going to be, I can't believe that they're going to finish top seed without Derrick Henry. I just don't see it happening, man. I think the Chiefs have a real shot at, taking that number 1 seed back later down the road. They're on fire. I didn't think like they were in that much trouble early. I mean, they had a rough start to the season, but they're going to get it together with that coaching staff and with those playmakers on offense. And like you said earlier, their defense is picking up. I really think they have a real shot at getting back up to that number 1 spot. I think we're going to be struggling to get between the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seeds because the Patriots are, picking up. Patriots and Bills, that's going to be a fun race to watch for the division league there, because the Bills, I mean, the last 3 games have been really tough for them. Patriots, the last 3 games, their stock is rising. I'm not worried about the Chargers. And I think the Raiders are done, man.
The Raiders are done.
Yeah.
They're done. They look completely beleaguered. Like, I don't think that I just think they're trying to make it through.
There's too much drama.
There's too much drama.
Too much off the field stuff for them to overcome on the field.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're a real threat. So I think it's just, our division, like our 4 players our 4 teams in our division and the Colts right now that have including the rest of the playoff spots currently that have a shot. I think our odds of like making the playoffs as a wild card, if not division leaders, are pretty good. But
I think I actually think it's 85.8% chance that we make the playoffs, and like a 56% chance or something like that we win the division, which seems about right. Brad, what do you think, man? Like, I don't think the Ravens like fall off dramatically or anything like that, but it's definitely a dogfight in the AFC North, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously there's a lot going on with a lot of good teams in the AFC right now, and with us all being real close, nobody's really taken too far. The Titans are leading it right now in our division, and they're only 1 game ahead of us.
They're
half a game.
They haven't had a bye yet.
They haven't had a bye yet.
But when it comes down to it, I'm more just looking at our division. Like, I'm just focused on our division right now. It's way too many teams that are in a wild card position that they could be fighting for down the road for me to kind of worry about everybody else in the AFC. I'm more focused on getting through these next 7 games, 5 of them being all divisional games, And if any of us end up being tied down the road, I want these divisional games under our belt so that we don't end up having some kind of split down the road where we potentially just get completely knocked out of the wild card position as well. Like you said, this next game against the Browns is huge with it being home. And we have been lucky with these primetime games, even though they go in overtime, they're really close, but we've been pulling them out. So hopefully we can pull out another one and just keep moving forward and keep this lead that we have in our division. I actually would rather go into the playoffs playing the first game personally, just to kind of get get the train running. You know what I'm saying? And rather than taking a bye and then coming in and trying to play somebody that's hot off of a big win in the first round of the playoffs.
I'd rather not have the first position, to be honest.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, well, and
absolutely not.
only the top seed gets the bye.
Yeah,
first
because
round
of the
bye this year.
because of the seventh team. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Right.
so I don't even want the first seed
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah, we saw what happened in 2019 when we took 3 weeks off, and it
Yeah.
was just like a complete and total train wreck. We have tiebreakers with a lot of these teams. We beat Kansas City. We beat LA. I think the Chargers, man, I'm not out on them just yet. I think if the Chiefs can turn the boat around, then I think maybe the Chargers could. I like their coaching staff. I love Justin Herbert. Like, they're only half a game out in the AFC West. So I think the Raiders are done, Chad. I agree. We have a tiebreaker with the Colts.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it's hard to make a determination about the AFC North because you're right. We've only played one divisional game. But I look at the Bengals, man, and I'm just like, they have the best point differential in the entire division at plus 52. They're great on the road. They've got a 4-2 away record this year, which that's a majority of their wins have been outside of their own stadium. That's a good sign for a team in December and January. Pittsburgh, it depends on their defense. If Minkah Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt are healthy, they lost to the Chargers because they didn't have TJ Watt pressuring Justin Herbert or keeping him in contain. And Minkah Fitzpatrick didn't play to make the stop against Mike Williams for the walk-off touchdown, right? Like, the Steelers don't have that right now, and Cleveland's a mess. So it's really incumbent upon two teams to decide like what's going to happen with this division, and it's the Ravens and the Bengals. But that's not to say that you should underestimate anyone in the AFC North either, because they're all within striking distance of being in first place. Cleveland won last week. Yep. And they're 6-5 and they're last in the division. That's just how, and this is how the division is going to be for the next 10 to 15 years. As long as Joe Burrow is healthy, as long as Lamar is healthy, who knows who the Steelers get for a quarterback when Ben Roethlisberger retires. This is just what you're going to have to expect from the AFC North. And really, it's par for the course every single year, right? It's always sort of a dog fight. I think it's just now that all four teams are good or competent.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tighter race down to the finish.
There's one thing, a quick little thing I noticed looking at the snap counts. We did no rotations on the offensive line last game. All the starting 5 played the whole offense snaps. So no Phillips, no Cleveland. And I can't remember who else is our backups, but that was a little surprising to me that there was no rotation, which there seemed to be a rotation throughout the whole year.
Do you think they've figured out their line? Like, this is going to be the line?
I hope
like,
not, because our line is still shit.
6 sacks?
I hope
Good
not.
Lord.
I mean,
that answers that question. All right, moving on. Goodness.
Nick Boyle did play a lot too, which to my surprise.
He did. He had a drop too.
Yeah, he played 32 snaps.
Yeah, that one pass that I was like, fuck. Like, it was 3rd and 4, and he just completely dropped that pass that could have gone for a first down.
It was a little high, right? Like, it was a tad
it
high.
Was,
yeah.
But he's like, when he gets the ball thrown to him, that man's usually a blanket. And it's his first game back, so you can't really say too much. But yeah, it's nice to see him back with him and Ricard. And Ricard, he's the one that came around and he pulled and sealed that block for Freeman to get that touchdown, man. So it's gonna be nice seeing both of those guys playing those little extra blocking roles. So
Yeah, for
I
sure.
agree. Yeah,
Also,
Like-
shout out to Huntley. Huntley's he came out and balled out and
you gotta win. That's big.
got a win on his first start. So that's absolutely dope. I know
First,
that
yeah,
I was talking shit about how the game kind of sucked, but I mean, man it's his first start and he came out and won. He played really good.
I wonder if he's one of those guys that like when the season's over, he might go somewhere else. Like somebody
I hope
will look
not.
at his tape and they'll be like, oh, like maybe if we try to implement this kind of offense, maybe we don't have to draft a guy. Maybe there's a guy
No.
that's already there. I don't know. It's just a thought. Like maybe I think he sticks around personally, but I
Yeah,
think
I
teams are
hope
going to
so.
come asking for him.
yeah.
Because it would suck to lose somebody like that when he comes down. Nobody can play like Lamar plays, but when you can get somebody that kind of, you don't have to change the offense too much because they are kind of the same dynamics. He's a great player to have.
And there's
Yeah.
something that the Ravens have this year that they didn't have last year. And I think that it's like a pretty important factor onto how these games play out. This is the inaugural year of Flock Squawk, right? So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't have us last year
That's right.
being beacons of positivity and good feelings in general. We have to make a promise that if this stretch turns south, if we go down this road and things start looking a little hairy and we see thunder and lightning, and we're chugging along and we see wolf eyes peeking out at us from the trees during this stretch, we've got to keep it somewhat positive. Brad, don't be sending me texts saying you're done. Okay, you were not
Hey.
done.
I was done.
You were done. You came back. You came back though. You know, it's
I was
like
done that day. I said, "Fuck this." I was showing my face. I was showing my face, and I was not saying one word. I was like, "You lose to Miami, I can't waste my breath no more."
it was good. We needed a break before we went in there because I think it would have been pretty bad. Okay, boys. Hey, it's time to get out of here. Both of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I don't know what your guys' plans are. My plan is going to be stuff my face with good food and watch football.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that seems general consensus on that one. And then we're going to come back after the Browns game. And we're going to talk about that one. We have the Ravens winning overwhelmingly. So anyone who's listening, that's what's going to happen.
I like it.
Believe that. Chad, Brad, it was great talking to you, as it is every single week. And
Yes, sir.
we'll
Yes, sir.
catch up after the Browns game. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure will.
All right. Hey,
Talk
Brad,
off.
be safe driving down to North Carolina.
I
Kakalaka.
appreciate you.
Yes,
Excellent.
sir.
All right, boys. We'll see you later. Caw, everybody. Have a great
Peace.
rest of
Caw,
Thanksgiving and a good
caw.
rest of your week. Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving and go Ravens.
In the